Hello YouTubers, this is Torsenko, finally with the Naruto manga review. This manga review will be mangas 601 through 603, and I'll also be putting a few predictions as well. Okay, so here we are with the reason why Obito is even thought of as being Toby. And I know many of you have wondered, what I think of this, like what seeing as it's progressing is to Kishimoto making a full-fledged background as to how Obito became Toby, is still kind of, it's a big flawed for me still, because the fact of the matter is, before we even got into this Gaiden, they had Obito on the battlefield with Madara questioning, did he die? Usually someone died, they would know if they died. And for him to have asked something like that, there's something may have happened. Either Madara hit him with a genjutsu or what have you, but who knows. And another thing, there's a giant empty space in this manga for when they first showed that Obito was still alive and he was rescued by Madara. Madara's words to him was, you're no longer you're stuck between worlds, basically. You're not in the living nor the land of the dead. You're in between. But now we find out Obito got smashed under the boulders and was knocked down into Madara's hideout. So, in lack of better words, this is it's kind of sloppy on Kishimoto's part to have done that, considering the fact that you just basically put the cliffhanger that he may have been in a different dimension. But now, considering the fact that Madara had the Mazu statue already, sitting, having the Hashirama's DNA in it, keeping him alive. And now, also, speaking of that, we get to a part where we see that Madara doesn't have his original eyes. He has one eyeball, which is, it's almost close to being impossible. I mean, if I went back and rewatched the manga as well as the episode of when Nagato first was seen with the Rinnegan, when his parents was killed, his eyes were normal. Then he awakened the Rinnegan. He did not have a Sharingan. If I remember correctly, Madara said he awakened these eyes shortly before his death. So wouldn't that mean if he gave his Rinnegan to someone, they would be as they are in Obito's eyes? I mean, Obito just has a stuck Rinnegan. But that also made me always wonder, why is it that for Nagato to have awakened the Rinnegan, why was it always turned on? Like Itachi, wouldn't it have a side effect? Because based on Itachi's way of doing it, he was dying because he always had his Rinnegan, his Sharingan turned on. That goes to another problem I'm having of now in, I believe it was 603, when we see now Obito's hair starting to grow after a year. I mean, I understand, people hair grow, but for him, basically for what they're trying to say, he's been down there for quite a while with Madara laying in the bed. So it's kind of hard to believe that now we're seeing that this is the person who was supposed to have trained Itachi. What? How in the world would Obito be able to train Itachi to destroy the entire Uchiha clan? I don't care how much so-called talent that Obito's supposed to have had, considering he had just unique ability to work through stuff. He couldn't even form hands. I mean, we didn't even see him form hand signs until finally at the end when he's fighting Naruto and Killer Bee. He really didn't even form a hand sign. He just put his hand together and boom, Mazu statue pops up. But for a person like Obito to have trained one of the most elite Uchihas that ever existed next to Madara would be a big, that would be a big, terrible thing to try to claim. I mean, look at Obito. Look at how he was when he was a younger child. He was clumsy. He cried all the time. He didn't know how to really activate his Sharingan until finally when he was in a life or death situation. And for them to try to jumpstart to where he just fast forwards to have all of his little dots in his eyes to be able to tame the 9 tails, you have to have a very strong amount of chakra. Even though that claim could go with the fact that now his body is half of the first Hokage's DNA. And that's another thing. Why would you, if you have your own face, why would you form with a Zetsu who looked like the mask that you now wear, or wore before the war? That's odd. And it seems as though he's got a long way to go. I mean, he's trying to sell the whole thing of now that Zetsu's come in on Manga 603, where they come in and, alert to Obito that Ren's in trouble. Like, I mean, come on now. He's able to leave that hideout. If he was able to leave, why he didn't tell? Well, I'm pretty sure that they'll bring that up in the next manga as to why he didn't say, "Hey, Kakashi or whoever, Shinobi at the Leaf Village, I'm Obito. I'm still alive." And also, I think it's 50-50 safe to assume that Madara may have actually died sitting there in that chair. I mean, they're saying that, when he wakes up, I'm guessing more or less with whoever resurrects him, because of the fact that the matter is right before he so-called took a nap, he was explained that, yeah, I gave my eyes away. This is just a spare, which also leads to another thing: whose eye that is. Because as far as I remember, the Uchiha clan is still living. So whose eye did he have as a spare? Now we can think of, no, it couldn't be Shishui, because Shishui wasn't around yet, because at that time Itachi was still probably like 8 years old, and Shishui wasn't that far away from Itachi's age. So that is a giant big question. Whose Sharingan does Madara have right now? And also for the simple fact that this whole thing is riding on the fact of the majority votes of who Toby would be. I mean, Kishimoto, he did a very injustice to the fans of Naruto, who went out of their way and created all these gigantic theories of who would be a perfect fit to be Toby. Out of all the people, he chose Obito, because 40,000 people for like 7 years now have been saying, "Oh, it's Obito," and he makes him Obito. And then they also brought in the simple fact that, oh yeah, he's half Zetsu, and that's what he is. I mean, I'm not ranting the fact that, how I'm on the side of the people who wasted so many years of making all of these assumptions of who Toby is, like so many ironclad scenarios as to why and who, and potentially who would fit as the person behind that mask. And also another thing, I'm wondering more or less if it actually was Obito when I stop and think about it, because of the fact that Itachi would not be that dumb to say it Madara is the one who trained me, but after he was dead and he came back, he referred to Obito as Toby when Itachi and Sasuke was fighting Kabuto. So I don't know, there may be some truth as to whether or not it was actually Madara who trained him to become the ninja that he was today, especially considering that no one would be able to teach somebody the Susanoo unless they had the Susanoo, and so far it's pretty safe to assume that Obito doesn't know how to do the Susanoo, unless now in the next 10 mangas from now, he brings up the Susanoo all of a sudden to fight Kakashi and Guy Sensei. But that's my assumption for what's going to happen in this next manga. But in main case in point, Kishimoto, you have a lot of work to do to try to sell the fact that Obito is truly Toby and is truly the mastermind motioning all the stuff that have happened up until now. This is Taurus Cinco, over and out.